Hi, folks. I'm Richard Friedman, and welcome to my political cartoon countdown and Ukraine update for April 27th, 2022. Well, good to see you back again, folks. And a lot of things been happening. And, we're knocking off April, and I want to get right with it in terms of what's had a lot of things going on there in Ukraine. And I just brought back this cartoon that's very, I think, symbolic of what's going on here. And this is a cartoon I did a while ago. It shows President Zelensky flying in a MiG, and there you got him flying over a tank that's heading out to the east. Okay? Now, in my view, from what I've heard and everything, I always try to give you, not repeat what I hear on TV, but kind of put it all together and give you my kind of view, putting it together the way I see it. And this is the way I see it here, is that it's great, all this talk about we're going to weaken Russia so they can't do this again and repeat this attack on other countries is really great. The problem is that if the rubber has to hit the road, and if the rubber ain't hitting the road, this is all talk. And for what my view is, how we're going to get all these tanks and all this stuff across the country, we have to get this all the way from the west here, from the west, all the way across here to the east, where all this stuff is going on. Okay, I call this the Battle of Gettysburg. Okay, between these two forces here, these two very determined forces, titanic forces in their own respect. The Russians have the machinery, and the Ukrainians have the will and the strength. So it's a match against human will versus machine, in a sense, And I can't see, from my viewpoint, how all this equipment, and the Russians have vowed, they say that it's a target. Any equipment going out towards the east, any military stuff is a legitimate target. They've said it themselves. It's American stuff, but and we said once we turn it over to the Ukrainians, they're on their own. They have to get it out there. So what I'm saying here is that without air support, I don't see how it can be done really the way it needs to be done. Because from what I hear, not only do they have to get it out to the east, but once it gets to say the Grand Central Station, let's say it's Dnipro, it has to go all the way. They have to get the equipment to where it's needed the most, because this is fluid situation, dynamic situation, where the Russians are going here, they're going there, they're bombing here, there, and they have to take out the artillery before they can get it to them. They have to take out the artillery first. So you have to get the equipment in a position to where it can hit the Russian artillery. So that means getting it to Dnipro, and then from there you gotta transport the equipment to where it's needed, and that's going to require air support. I can't see how you can do it without air support. So idealistically, I drew here Zelensky flying over. You see both the flag. This is a Ukrainian tank, in a Ukrainian MiG with the Ukrainian flag protecting a tank that's heading out. Now here, see what you can see here, I drew these missiles. Now these MiGs, you see, they have missiles that can shoot down. They can not only can they attack forces on the ground, but these are fighter jets that can shoot down missiles. So when you put up a MiG is a very strong defensive air support. And look at England. Take that as an example. What happened there? The Battle of Britain. Could you imagine Churchill without any airplanes? You know, we sent over there all those airplanes that we sent through Land Lease, that all that stuff went through Canada and then on to Great Britain. We did that. And if Roosevelt would have said, oh, look, I'm afraid of the Führer. We can't get the Führer mad, you know. If he would have said that, England would have fallen, and that would have been it. You know, I'm not making that necessarily that this is the same analogy, but it's in my view, it's in the ballpark, because I don't see how the heck you can get all this equipment, all these tanks and everything across and transported without air support. Because, as I said, the missiles can shoot down and destroy missiles, and they can shoot at land forces that attack. Now you say, okay, well they got their stingers, and they've got their all those other things. That's great. That's great. But when you're coming up from the air, those stingers don't only go so high, and they can do so much, you know. So I see as a crucial point. Now, if you're going to talk about defeating the Russians so they can't do this again, then you have to include getting them MiGs, because otherwise it's just at best it's a stalemate. At best it's a stalemate where it just goes on and on and on. So that's my point in this cartoon I did, and I think it's more important today than when I did it. So how you get all this stuff across, and the only way I could think of is to get this Musk to dig a tunnel, you know? If you could get Musk to dig a tunnel, he has a tunnel company from the west to the east, and you get all the stuff underground out to the east. And if Musk, now he's through buying Twitter, he can have a new project of building an underground tunnel real quick out to the east from the west, and he's to transport all this stuff underground tunnel. Then okay, that's a good idea if you can do it in a reasonable amount of time. If Elon Musk can do it, anybody can do it. It's him. You know, if you either you get the MiGs or you get Elon Musk to build a tunnel out east. Those are the two alternatives, you know, and that's the way I see it. So there it is here. That's a symbolic cartoon I drew, and there you have the President Zelensky flying in a MiG, protecting one of his tanks, heading out east. Okay, and this is where all the conflict is. And then you got your incoming missiles here. You see, you got your incoming missiles from Belarus. They got the planes out in Belarus shooting missiles. Okay, and then when they get near the water, they got the ships out at sea from the Black Sea shooting missiles. So you got your Stingers. What could you know? And you got your other things that are good for killing tanks. But if you don't have an air force and you're up against a mechanized thing like what the Russians have, I mean, a strong will. It's will against machine. The Ukrainians definitely have the will and the positive attitude and the strength and the courage and the unity. But the Russians, they got the equipment. Now, how long can this stalemate go on? And that's the point here. And there you got Zelensky, and then you got these missiles here, and these MiGs, they fire stuff that can shoot this stuff down. They can shoot down missiles in the air. Okay, I say what I had to say on that. Okay, now the other thing here is what's going on. Now, here we go. Now the Russians, they're not stupid, you know, and they're by far. And I'm going to try to give you. Now, it's very good here in a way that they did go into Belgrade, and they recently did do that. Okay, they did. But that's only you know bits. It's bits and pieces. You talk what Russia has. This is a vast country with all kinds of of an industrial machines. It's a war. It's almost a war factory. They sell equipment to everybody in the world. They sell equipment to India. This is like this is the general, almost like the General Motors of weapons. Russia, you know, they manufacture this stuff. This is their business. They sell all kinds of weapons, and you're gonna you're gonna go up there against these people without an air force, without. So I know I'm hitting this strong, but I feel that it's a very crucial thing. So here's what I'm saying here is what the Russians have done here. Now, you heard recently that they're not going to sell any more natural gas to Bulgaria because they feel Bulgaria, number one, maybe this is an excuse, Bulgaria isn't paying in rubles, they're paying in euros, and they want but that could be just a smokescreen because Bulgaria, the president of Bulgaria, happens to be very supportive of what's going on there with the Ukraine fight for their independence and survival. So what they've done here, the Russians here, is they blew up a bridge here, which cuts off if Bulgaria should want to intervene, send supplies through Bulgaria, because Bulgaria could send some supplies. They blew up a bridge that cuts it off from Odessa. And what do they have? Their next target is Odessa. Okay? Now, that's the key, because that blocks off all, that landlocks Ukraine into all its exports and supplies and everything, and particularly its exports and everything. It makes it into a landlocked country. It changes the geography if they take Odessa. Okay, and now they want to take here this area here in the Transdniester region, which is independent of Moldova, but they say, well, they're Russian speaking, you know, but that doesn't mean that they're pro-Russian, but they're including that. So the next thing you know, they're going to take that, and then they're going to move into Moldova here, and then it's on to Romania. You see? And then you got here the Baltic states. Now, who's right next to the Baltic states? Russia. What does it take for Russia to walk right into these Baltic states here? You know, Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania. Okay? And Lithuania just sent them some equipment. You know? I just don't. I mean, you look at the handwriting on the wall, and you say to yourself, well, you're listening to all this good stuff, and all this talk and everything like that, and you say, you know, like they used to say years ago, where's the beef? You know, remember that commercial? He goes, where's the beef? Well, I'm saying, where are the MiGs? Because without it, again, it goes back to Great Britain and the Battle of Britain. You know, and even Churchill said, never have so many owed so much to so few, for those people who flew those planes and stopped the invasion, the Nazi invasion of Great Britain, because the Germans had to cross the English Channel. Now, this isn't the same thing because the land, there's no English Channel there, and this went right across the border there. It's not the same thing. So that's the point. It is not the same thing, but there is a few common denominators, which is a country being invaded by a foreign force. You see, so and this is more than what today's technology and everything what the Russians have is a lot more than what the Nazis had in those days. I mean, if you take I mean, there's no comparison. So anyway, so that's what I'm trying to bring out here. So then you got here you got your Marapol. Now Marapol is like a city within a city in terms of the steel facility there. Now you got all these people huddled up in the steel facility. And you got your civilians who are taking shelter with the men who are fighting in the same. It's a huge. It's not like a steel factory. You think of a steel factory, you know, as a block long. This is I heard this is a 4 mile. It's a huge thing. It's got all kinds of intertwining passages and rooms and stuff like that. It's a nightmare to invade, but Putin is still trying to invade it. He goes like banging his head against his head against steel, and they keep repelling him. So he said, "Oh, I'm not going there no more," and boom, he's back again. So I'm just saying, Putin has an iron will, and Ukrainians have an iron will, and it's going to take more than talk to stop for Ukraine to survive. It's going to take 100%, and I don't think we're giving it a lot, but it ain't 100%. We're not giving them planes. Now we can't give them F-35s because that takes almost a college degree to learn how to fly an F-35. These people are used to flying MiGs. So let all the countries. Now I'm saying the United States, but NATO. I'm sure NATO has plenty of MiGs because it's all part of the Soviet Union. Let all the NATO countries contribute MiGs to them. But they're afraid, and so as long as they're afraid, they'll be more afraid when Ukraine falls, and if that, God forbid, should happen, and then what? And they keep taking over here, take over Baltic states, moving down here, taking over perhaps Romania, and then of course they won't forget about Bulgaria. You know, those who they now won't sell natural gas to, and they're not selling natural gas to Poland. You see, so they have a strategy of their own. So that's what I'm saying here. Now you got Kharkiv up here. Kharkiv, they're bombing the hell out of Kharkiv day and night, those people. That's like the second Marapol. They're saying now Kharkiv is going to be the second Marapol. Now why? It used to be the capital. It used to be the second largest city, and they're not, and they want that. They want Kharkiv, that's gonna be like Marapol number 2. That's what it looks like. They're bombing that night and day, you know, like Germany and Dresden in Germany, what the Allies did with Germany, that's what they're doing at Kharkiv, day and night. Those people are getting bombed. Okay, now, so they're not forgetting about this region here, and they're going down. And the idea is for the south, they're coming up here they got their supply from Crimea to build a land bridge right through here, and then the north coming down from the north to south, and they lock it up, and then you got basically, and then they just they're taking towns that they're doing. They're taking towns, and then the Ukrainians are coming back to try to take the towns, and these towns they're taking, you know, so. The Russians are making advances in taking towns. That's happening. Anyway, so that's the story. Is there anything else? Let me see here now. I mentioned, okay, Kherson. Now, here's another thing is Kherson. That's the city they took over a while ago, and now, guess what? They're having elections in Kherson, having democratic Russians have taken over. They put their own People's Republic in, and now they're trying to have elections there to start a democratic elected president, a new democratic elected president of the Republic of Kherson. Can you imagine now? And Kherson is right over here. So for Kherson, they go on to Odessa, and then once they got secured Odessa, and then what they did is, again I say, they blew up a bridge that would have connected Bulgaria to Odessa for supplies. So they have their own strategy now in the south, and they have their strategy here here out in the east, and they said that they want the east and the south. Now, what that means is they want that first. That doesn't mean that they only want the east and the south. That means they want that first before they, you know. So that's the first dish of Ukraine. See, and once they have that, then they're going to come back, and they're going to reconstitute, and then I put up a flag here for Bucha. Those people went through a Bucha, and now the Russians left, and I put up the Ukrainian flag there as a tribute to those people who survived there over here. Okay, and they're going to come back and take Kyiv and Lviv. They're still sending missiles over here. In Lviv, they're still flying those missiles in to keep those people under pressure, so they don't so people don't get the impression that they're safe, and it's a So let me see if there's anything else I haven't mentioned here. The vote, Kashan, Odessa, Marapol. Okay, I just want to say one more thing here. I'm highlighting my other point about the MiGs. Now, if you had, you got Marapol. Now, you got those people in that steel factory there and all the death and everything that was going on here in Marapol and that huge steel factory. Now, those people, they got the ships out at sea here. See, there, the ships out at sea. Okay, these ships here. And now they are surrounded. Marapol is surrounded. Okay, there. It's all surrounding. You get the ships out here. Now, if they had planes, if they had MiGs, they could go out there and neutralize some of those ships and their firing and perhaps rescue those people by sea or some way if they had some sort of air support. So, if they had they're never going to achieve air superiority over Russia. That ain't never going to happen. But at least give them a fighting chance. Give them some MiGs to at least have a fighting chance in the air. Okay, that's all I have to say about that. All right, let's see what I'm looking at my notes. All right, I guess I covered everything. Except there's one other thing. Well, I want to get on to we'll cover that next time. I want to get on to the countdown. So here we go, starting off with my top 6 cartoons of the week. And here is numero 6 de la semana here. Here we got McCarthy. Now McCarthy doesn't know what to do now because he's worried about he knows that Trump is controls the deck of cards, and he don't know if this is just a holding pattern for Trump until they win the election, take control, and then Trump could say, no more McCarthy, you betrayed me, now it's time to go, or whether they'll keep him. He really, it's all up to the leader, their leader, former President Trump. And so here is McCarthy here going to Zoltar and asking him to make a prediction, because nobody really knows what Trump is going to decide to do with McCarthy. Nobody really knows. So that's why they're all gathering around him now, because they got nothing to lose. If Trump is saying he forgives him, then everybody hangs around with him, where's all their philosophy about betrayal and this and that? Or Mary Tyler Moore, I always say, Mary Taylor Greene. She's embracing this guy who really said let's impeach him, and because Trump, it shows you that these people are just really under whatever Trump is the leader. So if tomorrow, if Trump says, then Mary Taylor Moore, he was a traitor, Mary Taylor Greene says, well, now things have changed. Now we're in power, we're in control. So now we have to really take action for America and get rid of this guy as the leader here. So who knows? So he turns to Zoltar. Okay, so Republican House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy turns to fortune teller Zoltar after tapes reveal he said former President Trump should resign in the wake of the January 6th attack on the Capitol. E.g., I've had it with this guy, okay, referring to former President Trump. Okay, so here goes Zoltar. Here's Zoltar, and he says there's Zoltar, and he says, Representative McCarthy, Zoltar know everything. And then McCarthy over here, he says back, I don't give S-H-I-T, about what any Republicans from Liz Cheney to Matt Gaetz say. I'm worried about Trump. And Zoltar say this. Zoltar see heavy spiritual smoke rising from Trump, like SpaceX rocket launch from Cape Canaveral blastoff. You know, slowly thing, and before it rises, okay? And then he says, what should I do, Zoltar? My Republican leadership position depends on Trump. And then you got Zoltar replying, Zoltar say, speak softly and carry this big 2024 Trump sign. Why pay more for what you don't need? So in other words, keep your mouth shut and don't say nothing and just carry your Trump sign here. Trump 2024, no more bullshit. Just carry your sign here. That's the advice from Zoltar. Keep your mouth shut and carry your sign. Okay? Why pay more for what you don't need? In other words, why get more trouble? Because everything he says, he gets himself in trouble now. If he starts talking for Trump, he sounds like a hypocrite. If he starts talking against Trump, he sounds like then they're really getting more pissed off. So he has to keep his mouth shut. That's Zoltar's advice. Okay? And carry the sign. All right. There's Zoltar. And there's McCarthy here. Okay. Número 5 de la semana. Okay, here we have a flashback in a way. Here we have former President Zelensky and former President Trump and President Zelensky of Ukraine, and there they are. There's the American flag, the Ukrainian flag. Okay. Now, this is a former meeting they had. Former President Donald Trump thoughts watching a resurfaced 2019 clip of his meeting with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, when Zelensky appears to be reacting in wide-eyed shock at the former president's suggestion that Zelensky get together with Russian President Vladimir Putin to solve their problem. So this was in 2019 when they met, and Trump said to him that they should get together, and former President Trump said to President Zelensky back then, you could get together with President Putin and solve your problems and work it out and talk it over with each other. Get together to solve their problem, okay, and talk it over. And Zelensky looking at him wide-eyed in disbelief, you know, knowing the score, what the score is, he's looking at him like that, wide-eyed in disbelief to hear those words, okay? And here's President Trump. Okay, and here goes President Trump today watching this video that was shown from 2019, and President Trump's former President Trump's comment about the video that he's watching of himself with President Zelensky. Okay, back then, if he would have taken my smart advice, today he would be standing tall with a strong and courageous leader of Belarus, President Alexander Lukashenko. So President Trump always admires strong dictators. He admires them. He admires dictators. So I would think he admired Lukashenko, and he admired Putin. Called him a very smart man, and so he's saying here that if Zelensky would have, if President Zelensky would have gone along with President Putin and gone, you know, and gotten friendly with him and everything like that, and taken his concessions and letting him do what he chose with Ukraine, then he'd be a very powerful man today like Lukashenko. Well, Lukashenko is basically a puppet. He'd be another puppet in reality, but President Trump doesn't see it that way. He'd see him as a strong man, a courageous strong man. So it's all according to your perception. That would be the former President Trump's perception here. And there's the cartoon here. And this is from 2019. I drew this actually. I drew this as it was. I didn't make this up. I drew the way I saw it. They showed a picture of it, and I drew it as it was. to capture it, to capture that meeting back in 2019. Okay. Okay. Next one here is, here we have Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, Republican Kentucky nightmare of being questioned by House Representative Liz Cheney, Republican Wyoming, that she's the vice chairman of the committee, select committee on the January 6th. After McConnell again recently said he'd absolutely support Trump if he wins the 2024 Republican nomination, given when asked why, as McConnell had called Trump morally responsible for the Capitol riot, McConnell responded, "I think I have an obligation to support the nominee of my party." So his obligation to support the nominee of the party comes before his obligation to basically support the Constitution of the United States, because the Constitution of the United States does not provide for people to do an insurrection. There's no provision for people to go around and break into the Capitol and create an insurrection and block the proceedings ratifying the electoral vote. You see, there's no constitutional amendment that gives anybody the right to do that. But that doesn't matter to McConnell, because he sees his obligation to the Republican Party ahead of his obligation to the Constitution of the United States. There you have that. So here he goes here. There goes McConnell, and he's saying, "Nice to see you being questioned here in his nightmare. Nice to see you again, Liz. Remember, I broke with the Republican National Committee for its decision to censor you for sitting on the January 6th House Select Committee." Well, that's true. That McConnell did break with that Republican committee, National Committee, which has no weight, has no influence on his career or his future or anything. He could spit in their face and do anything he wants with those people, because they're nobody. They're nobody, but they're only a political entity. They don't have any control over his status or his future. Really, the control lies with President Trump and the Republican Party. And these people are, they're an organization of the party, but they're not the they're not the deciders. Let's put it that way. They're not the deciders, to use a former President Bush term. They are not the deciders. Okay. So then Liz Cheney says here, because he's bringing up the point that he did protest against them for censoring her for being on the committee. He did do that. So McConnell walks a fine line, He walks a tightrope. Let's cut the bullshit, Senator McConnell. Can you think of anything more important than party loyalty? And then McConnell answers a question back. Can you, Representative Cheney? Yes, Senator McConnell. The United States of America, basically the Constitution. And that's close, Liz. But number one is getting my job back as responsible Senate Majority Leader, and that obligation means loyalty to the party of Trump. It's Republican voters who picked the nominee. I stand proud by my January 6th talk when he did talk against then President Trump, and say he was morally responsible, but that doesn't matter. If the party backs him, the obligation is to the party. Okay, so that's his position. Okay, and here we got now. This is just the other day when Secretary of State Antony Blinken, Plan B in case security threat, when they went to Ukraine, given Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky announced Blinken and Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin will visit Ukraine. Now, there was talk about them canceling the visit after it came out, because when the Prime Minister Boris Johnson went there, we didn't know about it until after he was gone. Then we saw the pictures and everything. But here they made a grand announcement. Zelensky made a grand announcement about it. It wasn't too cool. I mean, if I was going there, they still went there, and that's a great testament to the strength and determination of the United States, and that made it even more. It made it even more poignant and symbolic that even in the face of them knowing, the Russians knowing about it, we still went there, and that made it even better in terms of determination, in my view. And they did the right thing by going, of course. But anyway, I'm not going to say anything about President Zelensky because the man is putting his lifeline on the line there, and he's the Churchill, today's Winston Churchill, and so I'm not going to say second guess him, but that's the facts. Let's just leave it at that. So I drew a picture here of his Plan B, of Blinken's Plan B in case it was a security threat, and I took a photo of when Boris Johnson was there, and this is a type of, it wasn't explosions going on, but this was a place in Kiev that he passed by, and I drew it, and I put them there, and then you have here Austin. So the Blinken was going to be protected from everything because Austin's a big man, you know, big heavy man, and he's kind of skinny guy. So he was going to have Professor the Defense Secretary Austin protect him and carry him there through the explosions and everything. So that was his Plan B, to protect himself in Kiev in case the Russians launched an attack there. You see, and there you have everything going up there, and there he is, you know, and everything exploding, and there he is, like that. Okay, all right, okay. Now you have here you got President Putin here, and you got Trump watching President Putin, and then President Putin did a ballistic missile test the other day. Okay, there's his ballistic missile test, launching a ballistic missile test in the middle of all this business. You know, Defense Secretary Austin said it was a little provocative doing that when you're talking about nuclear war, and then you go and that followed this up with talking. They just talked to Lavrov, just kind of brought up nuclear war, and him doing this test here with a ballistic missile. It looks a little threatening, you know. But, you know, I mean, that's what in a way that's what diplomacy has come down to now. Where people used to sit down, civilized conversations. You know, we'll give you this, we'll give you that. Now there's no diplomacy means we talk about nuclear weapons and this and that. You know, and that's what diplomacy has devolved into. There's no new kind of diplomacy. You know, when people study to be diplomats now, they're going to have to learn how to talk about nuclear weapons and how to bring that up. You know, that's a part of diplomacy now, because the days we instead of getting our weapons getting more stronger and we're getting more technologically advanced, but we're in a way we're getting more primitive in our look, and we're considering the possibility of nuclear war. Lavrov, he says, well, nobody, as Austin brought out, nobody could win a nuclear war. If nobody could win a nuclear war, what's the point of bringing it up? That Lavrov brought up that we could be close to a nuclear war. So that means he's saying we could be both for all of us dying, you know. And who knows what would happen to the Earth and the planet? Would that happen? We go off. The Earth could, from all those explosions, the Earth could go off its axis and start shooting towards the sun. Who knows what could happen then? You know, we all gone. So he's talking about the doomsday scenario, you know, in the fight for Ukraine, he's willing to sacrifice the whole planet. You know, that's what Lavrov is basically saying, that the Putin and him regularly sacrifice the whole planet Earth for Ukraine. I mean, I don't get it. But anyway, there you go here. So here we have, okay, Trump watches video of Russia's successful Sarmat intercontinental, this is the Sarmat, they call it the Sarmat intercontinental ballistic missile test, nicknamed Satan II. And Russian President Vladimir Putin warning to those threatening his country to think twice amid pressing on with his new Donbass offensive. Okay, that was April 21st. Okay, and this is this Russian President Putin, exact words. He didn't speak it in English, he spoke it in Russian, and they translated it. Okay, this truly unique weapon will provide food for thought for those in the heat of frenzied, aggressive rhetoric try to threaten our country. Meanwhile, he's going into Ukraine, and he's the one, and they're the ones now talking about nuclear weapons. We didn't bring it up, and he's talking about us threatening them, and Lavrov just brings up nuclear weapons. Nobody was talking about that, but then he says we're threatening them. So go figure it, you know. So anyway, then here goes Trump with his thumbs up, and he goes, that's proof. Putin did not feel threatened when I was president. You see, he didn't feel threatened, you know. President Trump was willing to take his word over his intelligence that Russia had no involvement in the hacking or anything like that. So he felt secure. So there was no need for him to invade other countries. You know, so if President Putin would have felt secure, he wouldn't have gone in here, because he felt secure when I was president because of, you know. And I said, because I always said getting along with Russia is a good thing, not a bad thing. So those were former President exact words. He always said getting along with Russia is a good thing, not a bad thing. So he said that, and there he is watching that. Okay, and there you have it. There goes that missile up. There it goes. There it is. Okay. All right. Okay, numero uno de la semana, number one of the week here. Everybody love this one. Everybody love this. This guy really, if you just look at him, he looks like a real nice guy. It looks like someone like he's running a kids program. You know, he could be working for like the running a kids program, the Merry Mailman. You know, as a kid, they had the Merry I am the Merry Mailman, ring-a-ling, that's my ring. Here's my, those of you my age remember the Merry Mailman. This guy looks a little bit like the Merry Mailman here. If you don't listen to what he's saying, you know, I am the Merry Mailman, ring-a-ling, that's my thing. Ring a letter from your grandma, say she's coming to stay. All that, I remember that like it was, that's like 65 years ago. The Merry Mailman. Those of you of my age, there. Okay, the Merry Mailman. He looks that way. He looks a little bit like him. Okay. Russian President Vladimir Putin reacts to a Russian state TV pundit about raging against Ukraine. This man got really upset at the sinking of that Russian missile ship, prize missile ship in the Black Sea. The pride of the Black Sea. It was like the Bismarck, like the German Bismarck. You know, this was the prize ship of the Black Sea, the Prince of the Black Sea, the Moskva, by 2 Ukrainian Neptune missiles in the Black Sea, given claims to the contrary by Russia that the sinking was caused by an accidental fire that broke out on the ship. You know, so they're saying here, the Russians saying that an accidental fire broke out on the ship, and it went into the magazines, you know, and the magazines exploded, you know. So anyway, you know, so it was an explosion from the magazines that brought down, and then the ship, towing the ship, and it's tilted over, and then it finally sunk in the Black Sea. So they were saying basically that this was a accidental thing. A fire broke out was the origin of why the ship sank. You know, I love ships. You can see a ship over there. You know, and I got a lot of ships around my place here. I love ships. So anyway, so Putin might have been had a little double-edged sword here, because this man is getting angry at Ukraine, and while the Russian line is that the Ukrainians didn't sink the ship, it was sunk by a fire, and now this man is getting angry, saying we should bomb Kyiv for sinking the ship. So it goes against the Russian line that it was a fire. So that got President Putin a little bit upset at the man. So anyway, so here's the man here. This was him. I actually drew him. Okay. The warship Moskova was our flagman. This is cause for war. We haven't gone to war yet. You know, like we haven't gone to war yet. We should bomb Kyiv. This was his exact words. I mean, I didn't make this up. Those were his words, you know, in Russian. Okay. And then we got here, idiot. This is the Russian word for idiot here. I can't begin to pronounce it. I don't know. Idiot. Okay, there's a Russian word. Putin response. I want this state TV pundit with the Stalin mustache to be enlisted with the Belarus ground forces for the invasion of Kiev, even if he fails intelligence tests. So eventually, there's going to be an invasion of Kiev, and that's going to be the closing scene of this war. God forbid that comes to pass, and that's why I say they got to get those MiGs out to those people, and you sooner or later, because if you're afraid of Putin now, you're afraid of him now, but if he takes this, he's gonna go on to like I said, you're gonna have your Baltic states here, and look where Russia is. Russia's right here. What's it take for them to go like they did with Ukraine? To go right, Russia's all over the place. It's a huge country. It's like the Blob. You ever see the movie The Blob? When the Blob was all over the place, that's what the Russia is. It's the Blob, you know, and it's all over the place here, you know. Russia is all over the place. So here you got. So then you got here. You got the going into these the Baltic states here. You see? There's Russia. You got the Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania, and then you got. I mean, there's no telling. And then you got them going down here into Romania and Bulgaria. I mean, there's no telling. There's no telling where this ends. And all I can say is, we didn't want to send them this heavy stuff. We're sending them now because we didn't feel we didn't want to upset Putin. So there's going to come a time when they're going to send them planes. It's going to be too late to send them MiGs and planes. When it's too late, it's going to be too late, and we get to that point. So why not avoid getting to that point and start doing it now? Because we're going to have to confront it sooner or later. That's what I'm saying here. Sooner or later, there's going to be like the Kennedy missile crisis, we had the Cuban Missile Crisis when Kennedy ordered a blockade in 1962, and everybody was saying, well, everyone, kids at school were all saying, were crying in my classroom that we're all going to die from nuclear war. I remember, and I said to the kid, no. I said to them, well, the United States we're the strongest nation in the world. This will never happen. The Russians will back down. They will. And then sure enough, Khrushchev, the next thing I know, they made a deal with Turkey and all that business with the Turkish missiles and everything. Whatever. But it's still, the Russians, they took out their missiles from Cuba. Now today, I might be crying with that kid if I was a little kid today, because of what I'm seeing here is that we don't have the determination that John F. Kennedy had to back then. President Kennedy had. It's not there today. We have all this talk, but the rubber don't meet the road. The MiGs don't hit the air. So anyway, I said what I had to say, folks, and I hope you enjoyed my political cartoon countdown and my Ukraine update. And I wish you all the best, and thank you for watching my video. And I'll see you again next time. And God bless you, and God bless America. See you again, folks. Take care. Bye.